Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we still have a few people who will be coming in late, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I appreciate you taking out some time this morning. I know in the midst of a crazy day, especially for education, especially in the midst of a pandemic, having this time, it might be a little more difficult, and I'm looking forward to the many who will be listening to this afterwards. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rahema Kavuga, and I serve as the Synod Relations Manager for Lutheran Church Extension Fund. We are so grateful to be able to host these webinars, as we have been since the beginning of the pandemic, as a ministry tool for our brothers and sisters in Christ throughout the LCMS, and especially our presentation today and tomorrow, focusing on education, which has really taken the forefront of the world right now as we go back to life as we may know it. And so I'm really excited to share with you a little bit more about the ministry of the Tech 21. I've been blessed to get to know Brent and Dr. Friedrich over the past years, as we were all former colleagues at Concordia, Nebraska, and now to get them to share the work that they've been doing at Tech 21. Before we begin, I want to share a few reminders. You are on mute right now. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to drop that into the chat feature. And at the end, we'll be addressing all of those questions. This webinar is going to be recorded and will be sent out via email on Friday. So again, if there are colleagues or friends who are unable to attend, we encourage you to share that with them. Before we begin, let's start with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank and praise you for this wonderful day and for the bountiful goodness that we do not deserve and yet you freely give. I thank you for the many ministries that serve the LCMS, especially its workers. And I especially lift up to you the ministry of Tech 21 as it works to equip teachers to live out their vocation in the classroom through the use of technology. Be with our presenters today. May their words be informative and be with all those who are listening, that they would hear them and be able to use them in their communities. All this I pray in your name. Amen. A little bit about our presenters. Brent Dieckhoff is the founder and executive director of Tech 21 Ministry. He develops, manages, and facilitates Tech 21 professional development programs and services. He's personally available to any administrator desiring to get teachers plugged into the Tech 21 workshop program. A Lutheran educator and graduate of Concordia University, Nebraska, Brent earned his Master's of Arts in School Leadership from Baker University in Baldwin City, Kansas. He has served in the Pacific Southwest, Missouri, and Kansas districts in both administrative and teaching positions. In his role with Tech 21 and an adjunct professor at Concordia University, Nebraska, he is committed to investing in the lives of teachers and pre-service teachers to help Lutheran schools achieve the highest degree of excellence to win hearts for Jesus. Our other presenter is Dr. Lori Friedrich, and she is a teacher educator at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, where she prepares undergraduate and graduate students to teach in elementary schools. She co-created over 20 Tech Edge conferences to help teachers, pre-service teachers, and university instructors integrate technology into their teaching and student learning. As a Tech 21 facilitator for 8 years, Lori assists classroom teachers integrating technology. She also serves as First Lady of Concordia University, St. Paul, where her husband, Brian, is the new president. Thank you both. Brent, take it away. Brent, you're going to need to unmute yourself.
Yep, I just saw that prompt. It just came up. Thank you, Rahema. Okay, well, thank you very much, Rahema, for the warm welcome to both Lori and me. I first of all want to extend my thanks to LCEF's leadership team, including you, Rahema, for the work that you've done to put these series together, webinars together, and Bart Day and all the LCF vice presidents for providing these series of webinars for our Lutheran schools. I think it's just a great testament to LCF's commitment to their support of a Christ-centered Lutheran education. And so I thank you for that. Tech integration is certainly, as you stated, Rahema, an important topic in education today, and perhaps more than ever before, given this global pandemic that we are in. And it is why Lori and I are just really grateful to be here representing our team of 30 workshop facilitators and to be given this opportunity to bring awareness to our hands-on technology focused workshop program. For those of you joining us live today, or those who will be listening to the recording, we just thank you in advance for tuning into this webinar and to learn about the work that we're doing through the Tech 21 ministry, and in particular, this Tech 21 workshop program that we're going to be sharing with you today. It is, especially at these times, with as we introduce the workshop program to you, the relevance for it in our Lutheran schools, and in particular for educators who are serving, especially in these complex times. Three things are just really evidently clear to us and true about Lutheran school environment today, and I think we can all probably relate to this, that number one, it's unparalleled competition out there for our schools to compete for those young hearts and minds that we want to be attending our schools. There are more choices for learning today. Number two, kids are entertained by technology, and they're also expert at using devices. And so for us as educators, their attention will be captivated, I believe, by those of us who can expertly and creatively teach within that paradigm. And then the third thing is just never in the history, I believe, has it been more important for us to be teaching from a biblical worldview. And so the Tech 21 workshop program really addresses all three of these by helping educators create these learning environments that are contagious and promote this unparalleled hunger for learning, and equipping and connecting and supporting teachers so that they can confidently and effectively utilize technology to engage today's learners, and give us the opportunity to be able to proclaim the gospel to them, and then just immerse educators in the world of technology. And we do that. Tech 21 encourages the sharing of ideas in the workshop setting and promotes time for the teachers to just explore and discover and practice delivering the benefits of technology. So, sorry about that. The goals for today, our presentation goals, I'm going to share with you, first of all, what the Tech 21 workshop program is, and explain also how it works, and also share why it is so important for classroom teachers today. And then Lori is going to take some time to show you a snippet of what a workshop day looks like. And so ultimately our goal by the end of our time together is really so that for teachers who are listening and principals who are listening to be able to say, this is, it's almost a no-brainer that we should sign up for this, the cohorts that are being formed for next year, because it is such a practical and applicable program for Lutheran education, and in particular Lutheran school teachers today. So the Tech 20 workshop program's mission and vision and our values are stated on this slide that is in front of you. And let me just, as you're reading through that, let me just say that the Tech 21 stands for Technology Enriched Classrooms, and the 21 represents today's learners. And the T, as you might notice, is in the shape of a cross. And it simply is a reminder to us that at the very core of our existence is what we are all doing is for the sake of the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so Tech 21's mission is really aligned with that of the Lutheran School Ministries, where Lutheran School Ministries serves to support teachers, principals, and in particular district education executives, and also early childhood directors. And so our mission, our purpose is really to support the teachers that are in the classroom, serving in the classroom. And I think Rob Jacklin, one of my facilitators, had said it years ago, and I think he said it best. And he said, one of the most significant ways to impact student learning in the classroom is to impact teacher learning. Teachers who are confident and open learners themselves benefit kids in the classroom. That's what makes Tech 21 workshops programs, the workshops so dynamic. So I'm going to start, and I asked Rahema about this too. I told her I wanted to share a little bit of the story because I think everybody loves a good story. And I think it's actually something that's really important that we do in our Lutheran school ministries. And that is to hear and to share and celebrate the successful things or the good things that are going on in our Lutheran education system. And so I want to share just the background and the story behind Tech 21 and how it actually started before I get into how it actually works. And it all began really in Wichita, Kansas, in the Kansas district in the year 2009, the school year 2009-2010. And it began with simply an idea of that we could bring together to provide professional development in a different way to schools, and that would be to form a cohort of Lutheran of teachers that would come together and gather together monthly for a series of workshops that would focus on tech integration in the classroom. That was the purpose, is to create a series of workshops. But the need really was that we were at a time, if you think back to 2009, the landscape of the educational classroom was beginning to be transformed by the interactive whiteboards. And so what started was a need that I had identified for teachers was, how are we going to support teachers in the classroom to utilize technology effectively and to utilize it in their instructional practices and the student learning activities? And so I basically had a concept, an idea that I presented to Jim Bradshaw. As you can see, the district education executive there. Jim gave me his support and encouragement and just what I needed. The next person you see is Dennis Grice, who is an instructional technology course coach in Lutheran education for many years, currently serving Concordia International School in Shanghai. And it was Dennis that I went to and shared the concept with him and received, again, encouragement from him. And then it came down to finding a principal, Barb Mertens, and at the time, Ted Helmer, who was an interim principal also in Wichita, Kansas, and finding two principals that said, Brent, we'll pilot this idea with you. And then it was finding some teachers who said, you know what, this sounds like a great idea, great concept. We want to join this. We want to be we want to participate in the very first cohort, Tech 21 cohort. And so that was the beginning of Tech 21. And it started on the Holy Cross Lutheran Church and Schools campus in Wichita, Kansas. And it also began because there were angel donors who supported this from the very beginning. In the first 5 years, contributed almost $250,000 to start this program over the first 5 years. And what happened then over the first 5 years was simply amazing. And it led to an expansion of our program to where today we headquarter our program not on Holy Cross's campus, but on Concordia University's campus in Seward, Nebraska. And for that, I'm just extremely, extremely thankful. What started years ago was in 2009 was to impact teachers using, let's just say, the integration of the interactive whiteboards, and then what followed were the iPads and the Chromebooks and you name it. You can think back over the last 10, 12 years what's happened. But this really, the email that I received last spring really hit home with me when I received this email from Joe Wallers, a principal at St. John's Lutheran School in Napa, California, when he said, Brent, I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for Tech 21. We have 3 individuals who have gone through Tech 21, including a facilitator, Carrie Perna, who are now our technology coaches for the rest of our staff. Each of our grade level groups, K through 2, 3 through 5, and 6 through 8, have one Tech 21 teacher helping the others. And I cannot tell you what a blessing that has been in our conversion process to online or virtual teaching and learning. And I just have to say that when I started the program 12 years ago, I had no idea what we would be preparing teachers for, and as such a time as this. And as we come out of this COVID-19 time, as we right now we're kind of in this survival mode in many ways, trying to survive through this pandemic. I want to see Lutheran schools come out the other side and thrive. And so that's why I just am so thankful for the work that has been was started 12 years ago. I want to wrap up just this part of our presentation of just giving a little history of the program by just thanking all the district education executives, all the who have supported this program and promoted it over the years. I also want to thank all the principals who host our workshops on their campuses. We call those innovation centers. And I want to thank you, principals, for letting us gather monthly to meet on your campuses to learn about, to gather together and connect and share and grow with one another. I want to thank the principals who provide my workshop facilitators and all the ministry partners that we have. And I want to thank the people who are contributing to this ministry. Even today, Holy Cross is no longer the sponsor of our program, but Concordia University has set up the Technology and Lutheran Education Fund, where people continue to this day to contribute and support our work of our program. So I thank you all for that. None of what I've just shared with you could have been done without the love and support of so many people who value teachers, those of you serving in our classrooms. And so for that, I thank you. To really put into context then how this program is implemented around throughout the synod, just take a look for a second with me at how big our Lutheran school footprint is to really appreciate what we have. And I think it's just so special. In the Concordia University system today, we have 8 universities. In the high schools, we have 96 high schools. And then in the elementary level, 785. And then in the early childhood, 1,774. And I think that that's really fascinating. And I like to be reminded of this all the time about how big our community really is, and also the value of being a community. And in the context of the LCMS, and here's even beyond the LCMS, I'm sorry, we have also Lutheran schools that are outside of the LCMS around the world. And we have the Philippine Lutheran Education Association, in fact, who's a part of our program, and there's 5 schools there. But what's fascinating to me is the way the distribution of the Lutheran schools in the 35 districts of the LCMS have been clustered together geographically, and how we can utilize that and in terms of establishing our program. And so what we've done over the last 12 years is established innovation centers. And what we're calling these innovation centers are simply Lutheran schools who open their schools for us to meet and host our monthly workshops where teachers gather together for our program. And this map represents all of the potential places we could be, as well as the places that we are currently existing. There are 40 innovation centers shown on this map right now, and currently 27 of those are actually active. 13 are projected of where we could go. So some of the things that have taken place in most recent years is in 2019, we actually established our very first university cohort at Concordia University in Nebraska. And what we found is that even at higher education, the level, there is a need for instructors to be able to continue to learn about how to use technology effectively to engage the learners in their classrooms, the students that are attending Concordia University. And so our hope is, maybe someday we can start another cohort at one of the other 8 universities, Concordia cohort, and begin to connect those cohorts with one another. Also in 2019, we established our first international cohort in Muntinlupa, Philippines. And again, what we discovered was that whether it's in the United States or whether it's in the Philippines, their students and the teachers' needs are very much the same. And so and education, the need, in fact, this year, the Philippine schools are in remote learning mode, and they anticipate being in remote learning mode throughout the entire school year. And so we're grateful for the partnership that we've established with them. Our newest district this year in 2020 was the Southeastern District. And so you can see pictured here, they're practicing social distancing in the cafe located on St. Paul's campus in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And this was in September's workshop last month, where they gathered together. And again, they're gathering for their second time actually this week. So with that particular cohort. This year in season 12, as I mentioned, we do have 27 cohorts, and they're gathering together each month around the various countries, around the country in various cities. The one picture to the left is up in Green Bay. We've got one there in the top right is in Phoenix, Arizona, and then St. John, Orange, California. So this last summer, getting ready for the school year was a little bit different. Usually we meet on Concordia University's campus each summer, our facilitators, to plan for the coming year. And this year we had to do it COVID-19 style. And so we met virtually in June to plan for this coming year. And so this is my team of facilitators. And each of these facilitators are actually classroom teachers serving on other school campuses whose principals allow them to lead the monthly workshops. And I'm very grateful for that support. And I am very thankful for this team of educators that I get to meet with each month and plan, and for them to then go out to their respective innovation centers to lead the cohorts that have been formed in their area. This is a zoomed in look to the upper Midwest and the footprint that we have with our innovation centers. And these are all active at this time. And I'm just going to draw your attention up to the top left of the map where it shows Minnesota. And Minnesota, we currently have 2 centers. One is located in the Twin Cities, and the other is in Mayer Lutheran, on Mayer Lutheran's campus. And it is this location where I'm going to, actually is where Lori is the facilitator, and she is going to take it away from here and just share with you now a little snippet of what a workshop day looks like, and give you a taste of that. So I'm going to turn it over to Lori now, and Lori, take it away.
Thanks so much, Brent. Yeah. I am the privileged person who gets to work with these amazing educators sitting around this table. This is where we really live out the values that Brent has established as part of Tech 21. It's a place where we connect with each other, we share ideas, we inspire one another and our students, we grow every time we come together, and then when we leave, we put those things into practice and we support one another. And sometimes in Lutheran schools, we're the only first grade teacher. So here they have the collaboration of other teachers in this one location, but they additionally have the support of Lutheran teachers across the country and around the world. Ours is a unique cohort in that we also have some remote learners. So we have a teacher from Oklahoma and one from Illinois who joins us, as well as with the options right now for being both in face-to-face and remote formats, as well as hybrid. We are having opportunities for those teachers whose schools are not currently meeting face-to-face to join in an online format. Just wanted to show you a little bit about what that can look like. We spent some time this summer at our facilitators workshop putting together a plan for what we would do with our traditional face-to-face workshop format if we needed to go virtual, which we indeed did last spring, and we assume probably will need to happen at some time during this year as well. So you can see we color coded everything in blue. We kept the same components. We still connect with each other. We reflect and share experiences, and we have topics. But the way that we look at that is in a virtual situation, we can pre-record a video lesson. For example, in yesterday's session when we met, our first topic was going to be about digital storytelling. So I was able to make a recorded screencast using 5 of the tools we'd be talking about. So those who were in the virtual situation, they could watch us synchronously online, or if they were unable to connect or needed to go back in a flipped classroom format, they could watch the screencast. And then our second green box here that we looked at was how to do a screencast. We're getting ready so that our teachers are in a position where if they need to quickly switch into remote format, they'll be ready. They can create a screencast to help students know what they need to do, and then give them some project-based learning, hands-on activities to do in addition to the traditional tests and worksheets. So we're excited about that. Now I'd like to take you into an actual workshop format. So we'll go into an agenda. You can note here that we have tens of thousands of students who've been impacted, hundreds of teachers, and this is what an agenda looks like. Each month we build out an actual website, and you can see as we scroll through that we begin always by connecting. We connect with each other, we have a devotion, and generally we incorporate or integrate the technology into what we're doing. This was our first workshop, and so you see we had an icebreaker. And that we did with a collaborative Google Slides presentation, where there was one link and people from Oklahoma, as well as our members from Illinois and places in Minnesota, as well as the face-to-face people, could all add their ideas to one slide. And then you'll see we also each month have a prayer Padlet. This is one of my favorite tools, and it allows us to put the things that we would like to lift each other up in prayer about into a very visual place, so that when we go back during the month, we can continue to pray for each other. And we find that to be a really powerful tool, as well as teaching teachers how to use Padlet in their teaching. For the devotion here, I brought in the song, The Blessing. As a lot of people went into virtual worship and choirs were not allowed, we started to see the virtual choirs. And a lot of people were wondering, how do I do that? And so this was an excellent example of a global choir where we had people participating from all over the world and little snippets of children as well. So rather than show the 9-minute video, I used a tool called Edpuzzle to shorten it down to 4 minutes so we could watch that during our workshop. And then I include some tools, especially here I lift up Paul Solik at St. John in Seward, who did some great things with virtual choir during the remote worship services and shared a lot of school and church music resources. So I put those in for those people who are looking at trying to continue a choir in their church or school. And then during the announcements, you can see what a typical workshop day looks like. So that first half hour is doing what I just showed you, connecting and sharing what worked, what didn't work, and some student samples. And then we really get into the topic, which on this first day was all things Google tools. And we kind of continued to do that until with creating projects and sharing them, we have lunch, and then we come back and have a workshop time, which is really a powerful part of that day, because teachers actually have time to work on their short and long-term goals. And we always prepare for a celebration. We celebrate every month with what people have tried, what students are doing, how they're being inspired. And then we also prepare for the end of the year as we celebrate what's been happening in our various Lutheran schools. And you can see here that you're able to, teachers can also take this for university graduate credit through Concordia, Nebraska. So they have that option for continuing education credits or to work on a graduate degree. We always set our goals, and they get an overview of what Tech 21 ministry is. What are they becoming a part of? Because they are part of Tech 21 during this year, but they stay a part of it forever. So we give them the opportunities to look at social media, because we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Pinterest and Instagram. We get everybody logged into the Tech 21 educators page on Facebook, so they can begin connecting with about 500 other Lutheran teachers anytime they want. So we work on helping them to grow their professional learning network. And we look at the theory and standards that ground tech integration. Again, Brent talked about, sometimes people talk about technology as toys and playing. We see it as most definitely taking lessons to the next level, making students creators and helping them to demonstrate learning in exciting ways. There's a great quote there that I really like, and it just says that what happened in the spring was really not online learning, but it was an emergency distance learning. But now it's our responsibility to be ready. We know things are going to happen that will cause us to go into online. And so we need to look at really good pedagogy and teaching methods and how technology can make that even stronger. So then you'll see we looked at all things Google. Again, they've already experienced a Google slide presentation with the icebreaker. So now they're going to create a Google slide. And this is something that they're going to use throughout the semester. And it's what they'll show at the end at our celebration, what they've actually accomplished. And you'll notice that we talk about Pear Deck. That's a great add-on that can take a static presentation and make it interactive. You can put in questions that students can respond to so that they see what's going on. Then we ask questions like, what are your favorite Chrome extensions and add-ons? And you'll notice this Padlet is actually across all the 27 centers. So you get ideas from all of the teachers participating, and that's really an exciting thing. This year, we've added an idea for remote learning. So in this first session, you can see where it has a link and it says, click here. We did a Wakelet, and that was just a place to add different ideas that worked really well that we want to share, different tools we use. And the second session, we added our brother and sister cohorts who could add ideas to that. And we worked with creating a screencast so that every teacher felt confident with that. We always look at digital citizenship, how important it is to make sure that our students' safety is secure, that we know that students can be bullied online as well, and how do we deal with that before it becomes a concern. So you see that there are guidelines for remote learning that a lot of teachers aren't familiar with, but we go through those. And then we get into the digital tools and resources. Digo is one that we share just as a way to help teachers organize. Now they're going to have a lot of websites and a lot of ideas. So where do they put that? And then you'll notice Edpuzzle, I showed you, they experienced that as we shortened the devotional video. And Wakelet they've used already. So now they're going to learn how to create one and use it with their students. They've had 2 Padlet boards. And so now they'll learn how to create and use that with their students. And Flipgrid is a really popular way that students can respond using video. So then we'll put in some other ideas. Again, I had Pear Deck, some whiteboards, lots of schools using Seesaw as a learning management system. And we personalized this section. So one of my educators is a pastor who wants to really make spreading the gospel even more powerful by using technology. So when I see an example of a simulation about the Bible, I'm going to put that in for him. And I have a high school science teacher who, when they went online, it was a little harder to do research projects and experiments. So here was an online site where her students could go and actually do field experience from their location and still make a big difference in what's happening in the world. So we end with challenges and reflection. And I'm going to also give you a challenge today. We always look at how they can further explore one of those tools and use it with students, and how they can get involved in that social media to share ideas and ask questions, and then make a difference in their own school. And what I'm going to do in just a few moments is I'm going to share with you a screencast that you'll be able to take, and that's for Pear Deck. It's one that our teachers found to be really helpful, where you can insert some interactive questions to make a presentation more engaging, working face-to-face or remotely. So that's what a day looks like in a workshop. It's a pretty exciting and fun-filled experience, and teachers find that they like to come back time and time again. So the next thing I would just show you is that we also have, I mentioned the Tech 21 Educators Facebook page. And as you can note on there, there's almost 500 educators who are members. So when you post that you need an idea for teaching, maybe tomorrow, you're going to get ideas. And all the facilitators are on there. They'll probably make a screencast and put that up and show you just how to accomplish it. So you're supported between those workshop times and for the rest of your career as you're interested. So I think that's a really powerful component as well. This is your little takeaway gift. I promised you a challenge. So I challenge you to watch this short, maybe 4-minute screencast about how to use Pear Deck. I hope I caused you to be a little bit curious about what might that be and how might I use that with learners that I work with. So Rahema will make sure to send you that link with the link to this webinar, so you can take a look and hopefully use a new tool yourself. I would just like to share one impact statement that Connie, a 4th grade teacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, shared with Brent through our Tech 21 program. And I'm just going to read this to you. She said, "I have to admit, I was a little nervous and apprehensive about trying to learn new technology methods in front of a room full of other teachers. Although I try and keep up with the current trends, I knew I had a lot to learn. After the first class, I couldn't wait to go back. The class is designed for learning through experience. The online agenda is so well prepared. All we have to do is click a link and try out a new idea that we can take and use in our classrooms. We work through all the questions and hiccups that come with trying something new together. The colleagues that are in the class have become great new friends and quick references for help. I really appreciate the online collaboration that also occurs by being enrolled in the program. I once posted a question to the online community and within an hour had my answer and a link to a video tutorial. Tech 21 has given me the confidence needed to incorporate technology into my regular curriculum. The collaboration between fellow Tech 21 groups is invaluable, and I've been able to share some new ideas with my own fellow teachers. I'm so thankful my school has provided me with this learning opportunity." So I would just say thank you on behalf of facilitators for providing professional development for your teachers to continue to grow in regards to tech integration. And thank you for allowing them a little bit of time to work with this. Thanks, Brent. Back to you.
Yes, thank you, Lori. And to wrap things up here on our end, Rahema, I would just like to just say too, again, going back to the start of this program 12 years ago, really, we had no idea what we were preparing for such a time as this, really. And I would say that coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, 3 things remain just crystal clear in my mind. They were the same back in 2009. The same needs back in 2009 are still relevant today, and that is, we believe that it is critically important for teachers to be able to have the opportunity to connect with other teachers outside of their schools. The second thing is that teachers need to feel competent and comfortable and competent using technology in the classroom. And the third piece is teachers can be excellent resources for one another. And I think that that's really what brings what's made this the workshop program so valuable to teachers, is that they love learning from each other, how they're using technology in the classroom. They're expert at in the content area of their classroom. And so to bring the experts together and then to learn with one another how they're using technology in the classroom to reach those students, to teach the students that are in their classrooms, there's just it's hard to beat the dynamic of a room full of Lutheran school teachers who have that same passion for teaching in a Lutheran school and to learn from one another. So I've got this up on the screen as a QR code for you to scan. Our cohorts for this current school year are underway and formed. And so what we do now is we start forming cohorts for the next academic year, for the 21-22 school year. That QR code will take you to our website's page. If you're interested in doing that, I encourage you to check it out. And I also just invite and welcome any questions from you now for those who are in attendance. And then also just after this, Rahema will send information how you can contact me, and I'd love to answer any questions that you might have in the future too. So Rahema, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brent and Lori, for this presentation. It's just so much information. I really appreciate the layout that you shared with us. I just want to remind anyone who's on right now, you're welcome to drop in any questions into the chat feature. I feel like you guys did such a great job of really laying out this program. As you were presenting, I was actually also messaging a dear friend of mine who went through the program, and this was really my time to take a look at the entire breadth and width of this program, and just the joy that it's been for her as she's gone through the program. And so thank you guys so much for all that you have done and continue to do. I did have a question, and I can't remember how much of this you touched base for either Brent or Lori. Once a teacher has gone through the program, you talked about the community really through the Facebook page. Are there additional kind of courses that they do or recertifications, or how do you normally recommend kind of students or teachers stay on top of this technology? Because it is changing constantly.
Yes, and let me just, the best way to answer that question, I think, would be to broaden the scope of my answer too, and to say this, that teachers, the concept behind this program is that a principal will send either one or two teachers through the program 1 year at a time. So in other words, in the first year, one or two teachers would go through the program. In the next year, another teacher or two would go through the program. And in year 3, they keep continually cycling teachers through the program. What's interesting is that since we've done this obviously for so many years, we're now seeing, we've seen teachers coming back through the program. And to answer your question, that's how they stay current with all of these changes. I don't think there's ever going to come a day where a teacher is going to say, oh, I don't need to go back through the program. I think by the time that 5 or 6 years pass, there's going to be a need for it once again. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree. I feel like, Apple just launched a new iPhone yesterday, and it's just like, wait, I just got used to the old one, and so there is this constant change, and as education really is in this morphing time, and what it will look like in the future too. That's really helpful to know that use on that. Lori, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just going to say that I find the Facebook page to be really helpful as well, because not only do people ask questions and get answers, but they share resources. Like all of a sudden, the new Google Sites templates came out, and the first place I see it is on the Tech 21 Educators webpage. And so that Facebook page has got the information, and everybody goes in and you'll see, oh, thanks for letting us know. And then the next thing that'll happen is someone will say, oh, I built one and here's my example. And then someone else will say, oh, I use this with students and here is this. So it just continues to kind of grow. And it was really fun at the LEA conference too, when all of these teachers got together and they feel kind of a bond, a oneness, that they all are sharing ideas. And I think they continue to collaborate with each other from the groups long after the year ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep.
That's great. And I know you mentioned earlier that I think Lori, you mentioned that you had a pastor that joined. Do you guys see that kind of opening up more or would you recommend kind of anybody who's teaching anyone, whether it's in a pastor or a DC, can they see some value in going through a Tech 21 experience?
Well, Rahema, just since you mentioned my name, I'm going to jump in and then I'll let Brent give the definitive answer. I would say, from my opinion, absolutely. I think, I mean, I was so inspired when a pastor said, I want to be able to bring the gospel to people. And he joined prior to COVID when all of our worship went online. He just wanted to be more effective. And he also said, and even in my confirmation classes, sometimes students can't all be there. And how can I reach them? And this is kind of their language today, right? He's got 7th and 8th graders, and how do I reach them? And so definitely, I think the underlining thing when you mentioned pastors, DCEs, teachers, Sunday school teachers, they all teach, and they're working with students of different ages. And I think today we speak visually. And so I think to be able to use multimedia can really just open up and make the gospel come alive. And we used to send lettered mail, paper letters to missionaries. Now we connect with them, right? So I think it just opens up new avenues for sharing the gospel really globally. Now Brent can give the real answer.
My definitive answer is amen.
Yeah.
To what Lori just said. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't say it any better. So thank you.
Okay,
Lori.
so if you see me signed up here soon,
we would love
why. Okay. Yeah. As a former educator, I mean, you're always I feel like I'm always teaching too. And so
absolutely,
as you were talking, it just made me think of, I don't know the latest and greatest anymore. And, it's really helpful to know. And moving forward, even outside of the classroom, I have to figure out how to connect with other people and to be able to do presentations virtually and add more. There's a dullness that has kind of come along with Zoom and this format. And so how do you still keep it as engaging as you would be face to face? And so I think there's a lot of resources that can be gleaned from going through a program like this that allows you the opportunity to step back and also know all the various resources. So
Rahema, you're welcome. And I think that's just, you're exactly right. I think that every teacher and all of us, as a former teacher, you just said it, we all have this desire to really make every single lesson we teach to our students just impact them greatly. And so there's this desire to stay current, to stay on top, to stay on top of the changes that are taking place in education. And I know tomorrow your topic is on mental health for the church workers, and I think that's awesome that that's going to be the topic tomorrow, because it is such a vitally important topic. And I've often said this over the years. I feel like our workshop program is also about mental health for teachers. When they get the time to be able to step away from their classroom and get together with other teachers, the support and the encouragement that is received from one another is so inspiring to them and appreciative. It's so beneficial to them. And so I also often think it's our way of giving the teachers a little bit of maybe a taste of what a sabbatical. It's not a sabbatical, but it is a little bit of a break. They can't believe how they're getting together with other teachers during the course of a school day, and how they get to go eat lunch together and talk with adults. And so it's just I'm just telling you, it's a fantastic experience, and I hope we can reach more teachers because of this. And for that, I really do thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I agree. It's really important, especially as church workers. I always joke, that line in our call documents that's other duties as assigned, and what that ends up morphing into. It's so hard to take a step back, and this serves a dual purpose, to take a step back and connect with other teachers. But I think what Tech 21 does is part of the stress that often happens with teachers is they're trying to create all of these things. And the tools that you were showing, many of them I did not even know. And so it allows teachers to not have to invent the wheel all by themselves, whether they're in the middle of Minneapolis or in rural Iowa, or, on the skyscrapers of New York City, wherever they live, that they don't feel like I have to try and create this entire program when they can actually have all these tools in the toolbox, which allows them to not be as stressed out. So I appreciate that. And you did a perfect segue as we wrap up. I want to remind you that tomorrow, and registration is still open, we will have mental health workshop or webinar with Megan Meisler, who's the Executive Director of Lutheran Counseling Services. That'll be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, so you can still register. And this is very intentional about speaking to teachers and ways that they can, in their personal life, de-stress, especially in the midst of teaching during a pandemic. So we're looking forward to that. But Lori and Brent, thank you so much for everything. We really appreciated you taking the time and sharing the ministry of Tech 21, and we continue to pray that it would be a blessing to all those who are currently and who have been, and for those yet to come through this program. So thank you all so much.
Well, you're welcome, Rahema. And again, thank you for the opportunity you gave us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
All right.
Rahema.
Yes, have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.